You can gain a lot of information by just looking at a soil pit. Here's an overview of information covered at our soil workshops in a day. The workshops are all about what landholders can do in the paddock themselves. We always ask landholders what they see when they first look at a soil pit, and their response is colours and layers, which are called horizons. Other things you can see are earthworm holes, ant holes, compaction layers, manganese nodules, and root depth. The colour of a soil will give you an idea as to how it has formed. The red colour will indicate that the soil is well drained, while a mottled yellow soil shows there has been a fluctuation in the water table. The darker colour of topsoil would suggest more organic matter and a healthier soil. The next important factor is doing the texturing of the layers. The texturing is important to understand some of the numbers in your soil test. Soil texture is the amount of sand, silt and clay in a soil. Soils can be broadly classified into sands, loams and clays. The main classification of soil pH is whether a soil is acid, neutral or alkaline. A simple field test is using a soil indicator kit to determine if your soils are acid or alkaline. Another useful field test is slaking and dispersion. We do a slaking and dispersion test to see if the soil contains low organic matter, which is called slaking, or high sodium content, which is called dispersion. We do this by placing a small soil clod in distilled or good quality rainwater. This is an example of stability. This is an example of slaking. This is an example of dispersion. The next step is identifying potential salinity problems. A simple test is placing 1 part soil and 5 parts water in a container. Shake it up and let it settle. Then test it with an electrical conductivity meter. A lookup chart will determine the range. It is important to determine the texture of a soil in addressing the potential salinity problem. From these pit sites, we have tested the soils at the topsoil and the subsoil. Now, what do the numbers mean? A full soil test can inform the landholder more than how much nitrogen and phosphorus is needed. Other elements such as sulphur and zinc and the cation exchange capacity, known as CEC, are important to understand. Cation exchange capacity, or CEC, is basically the natural nutrient level of a soil, or the potential capacity of the soil to hold and exchange the cations. Clay soils usually have a higher CEC than sandy loams and loams. The dominant soil cations are calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium and aluminium. If you have a sodium percentage greater than 6% and or magnesium greater than 40%, your soil will be sodic. Soil acidity is simply a high concentration of hydrogen ions in the soil solution. Agricultural production practices acidify the soil. It can be measured in a 1:5 water or calcium chloride solution. Using a pH indicator test is a great option for landholders to easily identify if they have an acidity problem. Note that as a rough guide, water pH reads 0.8 pH units higher than the more stable and accurate calcium chloride test. Landholders should be aiming for pH levels greater than 5.5 calcium chloride because below that, nutrients become unavailable or toxic. Soil organic matter is another factor necessary for long-term productivity. Organic matter is produced from the decomposition of plants and other forms of organic material by soil biology. Soil organic matter is made up of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. Soil organic matter is equal to soil organic carbon multiplied by 1.72. The 0.72 is all the other nutrients and bits and pieces important to organic matter. It's important to understand the ideal range of common nutrients so that landholders can make informed, independent decisions about rates of nutrient application. The Little River Landcare Soils People Education and Training Project has been a really successful partnership between the Soil Knowledge Network and Department of Planning and Environment to raise the understanding of landholders in the essential area of soils.